If you've been watching the channel for a while, or I suppose for the 429 days as of writing this script in which I joined the Dicebreaker YouTube channel, you'll know that I love Critical Role. I even backed the animated TV series and I've spoken about it on the channel. But what happens though when you've consumed the entirety of campaigns 1 and 2 and you're not up to date with the show and you have to wait week on week for new episodes? If it's all a bit too much to handle, then have I got a few recommendations to tide you over, because there are a plethora of actual play D&D podcasts, live streams, and videos edited to perfection that you really should know about if you don't already. These are my own personal recommendations, so if you know of a few more I should check out for another list, or just because they're so good that you think I'll really enjoy them, let me know in the comments. Anyway, time to explore Dungeons & Dragons through the lens of some fabulous creators. Beware of some minor spoilers. We're kicking off with one of the big hitters in the TTRPG space, Dimension 20, once only DM'd by the prolific Brennan Lee Mulligan, but now home to a host of extremely talented game masters who are bringing their worlds to life with their players. Dimension 20 has a few episodes available on YouTube, but Dropout is the home of the full campaigns in all their glory. Dropout being the offshoot of College Humor. With so many actual plays under their belt, instead of one continuous campaign like Critical Role, you might be wondering where to start. I would recommend the very first actual play they put out, Fantasy High, in which you can watch Siobhan Thomas as Adine Avenant, Lou Wilson as Fabian Arameus Seacaster, Emily Axford as Figoroth Faith, Zach Oyama as Gorgug Thistlespring, Ali Beardsley as Kristen Applebees, and Brian Murphy as Riz Gukgak. This group of players, with Brennan as DM, not only managed to combine dramatic storytelling, creative combat, and excellent comedic timing, but also worlds to explore that are unlike others you've ever seen before in a D&D campaign. And that's just the adventures with the main cast. Dimension 20 also acts as a conduit for other creators in the space. Matt Mercer, DM for Critical Role, took part in the Escape from the Bloodkeep campaign. The McElroys were a part of the Tiny Heist campaign, and Erica Ishii is in several campaigns, including Misfits and Magic. Escape from the Bloodkeep stars the players as villains, trying to stop some pesky halflings in a Lord of the Rings style parody. Tiny Heist players take up the roles of toys, bugs, and more to pull off the teeny tiniest heist you've ever seen. And as an example of how Dimension 20 isn't afraid to veer away from D&D and Brennan as their GM, they use the Kids on Broom system with Abria Iyengar as Game Master for Misfits and Magic. This stars the players as American exchange students heading to a magical British boarding school. Abria is a GM who is now a regular on Dimension 20 and has appeared on Critical Role as a player, and she is cool as hell. What Dimension 20 brings to the tabletop is a copious array of different shows. They show off talented GMs, captivating characters, and they're played by very likable players. It has everything. You can check it out now on youtube.com/Dimension20 show or on the Dropout app. NADPOD, or the cleverly and aptly named Not Another D&D podcast, features a couple of members of the Dimension 20 cast, Brian Murphy and Emily Axford, who have joined forces with Drawfee alumni Caldwell Tanner and Jake Hurwitz, one of the founders of the Headgum Podcast Network. With Murph taking on the role of Dungeon Master, the team starts off their very first campaign with Caldwell as the sweet and virtuous halfling paladin, Beverly Toggold V, Emily as the warm and courageous Crick Elf Druid, Moonshine Sybin, and Jake as the strong and daring human fighter, Harwin Sherfoot. A few things to expect from this podcast is the sheer hilarity that ensues right from the off. It might be worth mentioning that NADPOD's kind of humor is a little explicit, but it's not just made up of moments like these that will have you crying with laughter. The series is chock full of emotionally riveting storylines that involve gods, devils, assassins, betrayal, the Feywild, hidden identities, and so much more. Don't go into this expecting nothing but goofs, because this show has layers. The amount of times this show has you laughing at the start of an episode and then crying at the end is unreal. Because the thing is that the cast are actually extremely talented actors and improvisers, and they are able to bring their characters to life. It also has to be one of the best D&D shows in terms of combat for me personally, because it plays fast and loose with how much you can berate the big bad in a 6-second time frame for hilarious results, but still keeps a firm hold on the core rules of D&D and allows the players to show off their characters' abilities in jaw-dropping and exciting ways. It appeals to me personally for how well it entertains me during combat, because though a lot of people find D&D combat monotonous, I really don't, and it's because of gameplay like this. You should definitely check out our video on D&D combat, by the way, if you too have a love-hate relationship with it. The campaign kicks off with the unique and attention-grabbing premise that the world has been saved once before by a group of legendary heroes of Bohemia: Fiala, the human cleric, Ulfgar, the dwarf fighter, and Alanis, the elf wizard. Now that the world is falling into disarray once again, those legendary heroes are nowhere to be found. Will Moonshine, Hardwon, and Beverly be able to step up to the plate in Bohemia's time of need? You can find out by typing NADDPOD into wherever you listen to your podcasts. A part of the Yogscast Entertainment Network, High Rollers D&D is one of the best British-based D&D shows around, streaming on Twitch and uploading videos on YouTube regularly. High Rollers is a source of hours of tabletop entertainment. The team had previously streamed their Lightfall campaign and are now in the middle of their second Erois campaign. I've listened to a huge chunk of this campaign, which is why I'll be speaking about it, but their previous campaign looks extremely cool. It's all about the shattering of a comet known as Pelor's Light, and the fallout as its shards descend to the Earth. If you've listened to any or all of Lightfall, then please give us a spoiler-free review in the comments. Both of the worlds of Lightfall and Erois were created by High Rollers DM Mark Sherlock Humes, who has added in a few of his own homebrewed elements. The player characters we meet during the current campaign are Ayla, the Wild Elf Barbarian, played by Katie Morrison, Lucius Villian Elwyn Elenasto, the High Elf Sorcerer, played by Chris Trott, Nova Vija, the Air Ganassi Warlock, played by Kim Richards, Kilik Adkalar, the Arakokra Bard/Cleric, played by Tom Hazel, and the latest addition to the group, Rhiannon Gower, who plays Sentry, the Guardian Paladin. A Guardian being a custom race that is basically a construct. And it's not just the main campaign that there is to enjoy. The High Rollers team also takes part in various other spin-offs, including a Curse of Strahd campaign, Icewind Dale, and other RPGs that aren't specifically D&D, so you can broaden your tabletop horizons while watching a group of entertaining folks have fun. I recently got to hang out at the High Roller studio, and I actually played some D&D there, and it's an extremely cool set, and you should check it out just for how beautiful it is alone, and then stay for how wonderful everyone in the team is. Trust me on this one. If you want to check them out, then you can find High Rollers on Twitch and on YouTube and on your favorite podcasting app. Created by and starring the McElroy brothers, who you might recognize from their time as a part of Polygon, their podcast My Brother and Me, and their various other ventures. But did you know that they had their own D&D podcast? Probably. I, along with a bunch of other people who have previously done so, am about to tell you about the Adventure Zone Balance. You might have heard it said a bunch of times that this particular arc of the Adventure Zone holds a quality that not a lot of other shows can replicate. This may even be true of the McElroys themselves. But hear me out. The McElroys are hilarious entertainers and brilliant creatives, but watching them go from taking the show and gameplay only semi-seriously to then falling in love with the characters and the world that their brother and DM Griffin McElroy had created was something special indeed. However, despite that point, the team are still producing actual play content to this day and have even, as we've said, guested on Dimension 20, and you should check out their work in general if you haven't already. Okay, let's get into Balance. The Adventure Zone, Balance, stars Clint McElroy as Dwarven Cleric Mill Highchurch, Travis McElroy as Human Fighter Magnus Burnsides, and Justin McElroy as Elven Wizard Taco. Just Taco. The three of our heroes set out on their first adventure, which is actually the Lost Mines of Phandelver module that was one of the very first released for D&D 5e. This means that we get to see the team learning the game firsthand, which, for me, gives me such a rush of nostalgia for when I first started playing D&D myself. Once they complete the main chunk of this story, that's when Griffin takes the reins and creates his own story, full of suspicious red-robed figures, Mad Max-style races, time travel, murder mysteries, and so much more. I have to say that I love how Griffin splits out the stories into sections and ties them all together with the setting of the Bureau of Balance, which is what the arc is named after. Griffin even made his own music for the show, and it genuinely slaps, and it just shows the level of care that he took to make this world and the story. This is but a taste of what you can expect from the show. I'm also going to let you know that when I first started listening, I actually struggled because I was like, is this too silly for me? I know. But you should definitely hold out if you find yourself feeling the same way I did. The story is not to be missed. To find the Adventure Zone, you can use your favorite podcasting app, or even search for the Adventure Zone on YouTube, as I believe all the episodes are up here too. And that was Dicebreaker's D&D actual playlist. Perhaps the first of many if you decide to like the video and subscribe to the channel, because we have barely scraped the surface here, and there are so many other actual play shows that I love, and I'm happy to recommend to you. If you think you have a show that I'll enjoy, then please mention it in the comments. If I haven't already watched or listened, then I'm more than happy to check it out. Make sure to check out dicebreaker.com for tabletop articles, click the join button down below for more videos from us, but most importantly, have a lovely day.